Hey, hockey fans, the Hockey GM here, and it's that time of year, playoff time in the NHL. So once again, we're going to be making our predictions on who we think will win the Stanley Cup. Last year's predictions didn't really go our way, so we're hoping to get it done this year with a successful run all the way up to the Stanley Cup. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this process, you can go on to NHLbracket.com and pretty much make your selection on who you think, round by round, will win the Stanley Cup. There's a few bonus rounds for bonus points, like picking how many games you think each team will win for the first round and the total number of goals scored in the Stanley Cup Finals. So, without further ado, let's get started. And we're going to start out in the East with a very good matchup here, and that's the Florida Panthers versus Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, if you click on this button here, you can look at the analysis to kind of see what these teams look like in the regular season and how they match up. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you the season series here, which I think it should. But you got leading point scorer, penalty kill, power play, goals against, goals per, season points, all that good stuff. So right off the bat, this is going to be a great series. Hard-nosed teams, veteran teams that have faced few times in the recent years, with Tampa winning those matchups in the recent years. And honestly, I think more of the same is going to happen. I love what Tampa Bay did at the trade deadline this year. Picking up Duclair, Dumba's looked good. Vasilevsky seems like he's left that bad Vasilevsky in the past now with that surgery. I think Tampa's got a dangerous power play. And if this series gets physical, there'll be a lot of penalties, and I think Tampa can take advantage of that. So I'm going with an upset right off the hop here, Tampa Bay in round one over Florida. Second up, we got Boston, Toronto. This will be another great matchup, a rivalry. Obviously, they've now played, I believe it's 4 times in the last 10 years. This will be. Leafs obviously have the upper hand offensively with guys like Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, whereas the Bruins have the edge goaltending defensively with the Swayman Ormo duo, as well as, Charlie McAvoy being the best defenseman in this series. This is going to be a tight series. As you can see, these numbers are tight. They've been going to game 7 now for years, probably thinking it'll go 7 again. The Bruins have home ice. I think after the huge upset they had last year, losing to Florida, they right the ship this year. They get it done and they continue their success and beat Toronto against them head to head. Next up, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. President's Trophy winning New York Rangers versus the Washington Capitals. Capitals have struggled to score all season. Very good defensive team, but the Rangers have a potent offense, also very good defensively, great goalie. I think the Rangers are poised for, what they hope is a good run. Could be that. I love the moves they made at the deadline. They get this one done against Washington. And then this one as well, Carolina Islanders. I think is a pretty straightforward matchup here. I love what Carolina did bringing in Jake Gensel. They've been knocking on the door for years now. I think this is a year where they could really make a run at it. Anderson's playing well. Obviously, the Islanders have their new coach, but I think Carolina gets this thing done and beats the Islanders. So now it's going to ask me the games played. For Tampa Bay and Florida, I think that one's going the distance. I think it's going 7. I'll do Tampa Bay in 7. Same thing, Boston, Toronto. I think 7 games. Rangers, Caps. I think that'll be a quick series. I'm going to do 4. Just think the Rangers are far superior. Carolina Islanders. I'll give the Islanders 1 game with their goaltending, but I think Carolina makes short work of them. Now we'll head over to the Western Conference here. First round, you got Dallas, Vegas. This will be a great series. I mean, this is a rematch from the Western Conference Finals last year. We get seed in the first round. Vegas struggled this year. They started off really well, then they really fell back down to earth. But I think they're a team that could turn it on just like that. They've got a lot of guys coming back, guys like Hurdle, and now Mark Stone with the LTIR. So I really like Vegas's team. Dallas has had a phenomenal year all year long. This is a really tough choice, one of the harder ones, I think. But I just got to go with the Vegas Golden Knights. They're the defending Cup champs, and I don't see them getting bounced in the first round with the team they have. Another really good matchup here, Colorado, Winnipeg. Obviously, Colorado has that stud power. Nathan McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, all those studs. But Winnipeg, they've been a very good, stellar defensive team playing playoff hockey all season long. Love Connor Hellebuck for them. I think Winnipeg, is another team that's trying to make that, next step. Colorado obviously bounced last year. But I don't know. I think Winnipeg this year could be a dangerous team. I'm going to take them to take out the Avalanche in round one, but another great series. Heading over to the Pacific Division, we got the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. Now, the Vancouver Canucks are a team I don't think anyone expected to be in the playoffs. Same with the Nashville Predators. So, kind of a wild card for both teams who have already kind of exceeded expectations. Vancouver, obviously, the better record. Nashville had a hell of a winning streak coming into the playoffs. This should be a great series. Two great goalies as well. But I think Vancouver's got a bit more depth up front. I love their center depth. So I'm going to take the Canucks, but this will be another very good, tight series. And finally, another rematch again, Edmonton, LA. Edmonton's owned them the last few years. I think it's more of the same. Connor McDavid is just so good. It doesn't seem like LA has much of a answer for him. Their goaltending is kind of iffy still. I do really like the Oilers here. I'm gonna take Edmonton to take down LA. Vegas, Dallas. I'm gonna take 7 games for the night. I think that'll be a bloodbath. Same with Winnipeg and Colorado. They got that home ice advantage that they earned. They'll need it in game 7. Pacific here, we got Vancouver over Nashville. I think this is going to be a long series as well. I'm going to do 7 games. And Edmonton, LA. I think Edmonton will get pretty short work of LA beating them in 5. So now we move on to what would be our semifinals, the second round. So in the East, Tampa, Boston. This will be another great series. Obviously, we almost had it in the first round. I think the Bruins match up pretty well against the Lightning. The goaltending's pretty even defensively. I'd give the slight edge to the Bruins offensively. Depth-wise, Bruins studs, definitely Tampa Bay. This again could go either way, but I think after a series against the Panthers, the Lightning are going to be so beat up. I think the Bruins will have a bit more left in the tank. They'll get it done, move on to the conference finals. Next up, we got Rangers, Canes. I think the Rangers obviously are a great team, winning the President's Trophy, but never seems like that translates to the playoff success. And they're going up against a real good team here in Carolina, with just a ton of good players. I love Carolina's team. I love the way they play. I think this is the year that they can really finally get out of that Eastern Conference and get it done. So I'm taking them to beat the New York Rangers. In the West here, we've got Vegas, Winnipeg, a rematch as well from last year. That was the round 1 matchup where Vegas beat the Winnipeg Jets. But I think Winnipeg gets their revenge this year. I think Vegas is going to run out of gas. I think there's going to be a hell of a series against Dallas, similar to what I was saying with Tampa Bay, where they get the upset and then kind of run out of steam. I think the Jets are in it for the long haul, love their depth. Like I said, Connor Hellebuck is a beast. So I'm going to take the Winnipeg Jets to beat the Vegas Golden Knights. And then Vancouver, Edmonton. Again, I think Vancouver's a good team, but Edmonton, I think, is just, on a different level. They've got the guys, McDavid, Draisaitl. I don't think goaltending will be too big of a factor with those guys contributing how they normally do in the playoffs. So I'll take the Oilers to take out the Canucks. So my final 4, Boston, Carolina, Winnipeg, Edmonton. So I'm having a Canadian team coming out of the East. So we'll see, or out of the West, sorry. So we'll see how that goes. In the East, Bruins, Carolina, rematch from 2019, where the Bruins swept them en route to making it to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. However, I think Carolina gets their revenge. I think Carolina finally can get past this third round hump that they seem like they can't get it past. They've been knocking on the door for years. Like I said, I love Gensel. I love that team. I think Carolina gets it done. They make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. And who are they faced between Winnipeg and Edmonton? Again, these are 2 great teams, but it's hard to bet against Connor McDavid. Again, goaltending is going to go to the Jets in this series, but I think the offense is just too good for the Edmonton Oilers. And plus, this way we get a nice rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup Finals. So we've got Carolina, we've got Edmonton. Both teams are really good, been knocking on the door for years. Both, being balanced in the third round this year. They both make it to the finals, but I think the Carolina Hurricanes get this thing done and will win the Stanley Cup this year. As for my choice for a number of goals, I don't think it really matters. Let's go with 51. And that's that. That is how you do your bracket. Let me know what you guys think of mine, if you guys agree, or you think, perhaps something different. Let me know, obviously. And thanks for watching. And who is excited for the Stanley Cup playoffs? I know I am. It should be a good one, but there it is. Stanley Cup champs. You heard it here first. The Carolina Hurricanes.